We're in Soul Talk, everybody. This is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love. And today we have a very special guest. It's one of my classmates that I had the honor to have a class together with Rosalind. That we're going to be interviewing her the next week. And also she's co-author of the BluTalks, The Business of Life, and volume 3. And I was in the volume 4, but we were in the same one. And let me read a little bit about her. And I'm sorry if I don't say right your name, because
I can help you.
Thank you.
Okay. I can barely say my name sometimes.
Janean Humenin. Did I say it right?
Close. Janean Wiley Humenin. So yeah, close. I think you did well.
Thanks. Well, she is a healer, a spiritual advisor, photographer, co-author, being born and raised in Texas and living in Canada for the last 23 years, had given a unique outlook of the world. She attended to university in 3 different countries, USA, Poland, and Canada. She has a degree in cultural anthropology at the University of Alberta with a bachelor's in art in cultural anthropology. Has provided her with interest and her knowledge of diverse cultures, spirituality, and real relationships. She's a certified mediator for over 10 years, working with conflict resolution, help her in maintaining the skills and calming and demeanor on the face of the conflict and difficulty. Janean is also a photographer, give her a creative outlet, and she can work with clients to help her capture their true personality and nature. Her passion is giving her clients genuine photographers to travel photography and landscape photography. As for her spiritual side, this has given Janean a direction of comfort she needed to during this time in a great turmoil. She had always been spiritual, but never really embraced it till her life turned upside down, and she realized she was needing to change the way she viewed the world and life. Since then, she has found her healing and spiritual nature has shined and giving her what is she most like within ultimately to help people. Janean is as a soul involving reader and advisor. She can help others move forward in life with a new science and direction and understanding. She's a co-author in BluTalks and the Business of Life and in the volume 3, where she's able to share her knowledge and understanding to the world around her, and hopefully that can help others. And wow, it was long. This world, you can find her more information in the description, and also how you can contact her too. And Janean, it's really my pleasure to have you here. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. So, yes, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know how long to make that bio. It's like, how short, how long, I don't know.
So I know these bios are very tough to write because
they really are.
Yes, they're tough because it's about talking about yourself.
Yep.
And you say, oh, I have to control my ego, but then how people are going to know about you? At the same time, so it is very, very, and at the same time, you're putting your heart in there without and trying to control your ego. So that's very, very hard.
It is hard because I'm not very egomanic. I can suppress my ego quite a bit, and I don't really go to ego too much often. So when I'm having to promote myself or sell myself, I find I undersell because I I have a vast amount of knowledge, but I don't want to really put myself out there so much.
But at the same time, how the people are going to know?
Exactly. I know, right?
Talk about that. That is a hard part to balance.
It is. And I find a lot of spiritual people who are not spiritual go to ego, and that's what our society has trained us to do, and especially now with social media and all that. But yeah, it's a balance, because you need that ego. That ego is a check, it's checks and balances, I guess, is what I should say. But
my background is as an artist. When I started writing my bios, I was cutting myself short, and so it was hard to sell and so forth.
mm-hmm.
But I came to understand. Then everybody's like, check your ego as an artist, check your ego, and that's something that we tell all the artists and so forth. But how you're gonna believe even you're an artist, or you're whoever you claim you are, if you
Exactly.
don't believe in yourself, or you don't
Exactly.
even want to say it out loud because you're still hiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's there's the humility part, there's the ego part, there's the putting yourself out there, and doing it with a grace and humility, but still putting yourself out there. Ego comes into play. So you've got to share things that, in order to sell yourself. So,
but at the same time, I don't consider the ego the enemy, because it's a part of us.
no, it's not the enemy. It's just making sure it doesn't take over.
Yes. Yes. Or else it becomes narcissism, and that's a different story.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah, so I do find it hard for myself to kind of know where to, how to do things and how to promote myself. So I find that's my biggest learning curve that I need to learn. So marketing.
And we all the other day I was writing content about that even the healers, we all are working with ourselves. If we were just perfect and we didn't have issues and we already healed completely ourselves, probably we wouldn't want to be here in the 3D world.
No.
Paying bills and things like that.
It's
So
true.
we all are, if we're here, it's because we're still working with ourselves, and there's something to heal. Then there's layers and layers at the
Yes,
same time.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm going through a difficult time, and I find, that's when the universe is kind of challenging you to make sure you've actually done the work to go through where you're at. And, I've been handling this situation quite well. I've been surprising myself, and I'm like, wow, I've really done the work. But, I kind of had a knowledge that this situation was going to arise at some point in my life. So, I prepared for it.
I saw that you were a mediator. So
Yes.
how, and when it comes to your personal problems, how do you mediate?
I think it's more difficult as a mediator, because as a mediator, you're supposed to be neutral and impartial. So really mediating is not something you're really doing, but you're using the skills that you learn in mediation to handle conflict or situations. Lots of questioning, ask questions a lot, and really just try. But the spiritual side has come into play, centering myself, really coming from a place of response rather than reaction, and really just recognizing that with each little hiccup, with each little thing, it's just challenged me a little bit more to see how well I'm handling the situation. And, it is difficult as a mediator to be in conflict yourself, but, it happens. There's no avoiding it.
It's because we put emotion in there. And when
Yes.
we put emotion, we just follow for that.
Yeah.
Emotion is not bad, but you need to learn to control the ego again. We go with the ego
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, definitely.
All these kind of things that are gonna limit you and are gonna bring your fears and are gonna bring all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part.
Yeah.
And not all the parties are working with themselves. So that
Yeah,
makes
I've been able to keep the emotion in check on this situation. So I've been doing pretty good, actually. I have my moments, though. I have my moments, but, everybody would. being human, would have moments, when they're going through difficult times, but it's just what do you do with that emotion? What do you recognize it, you deal with it, and then you don't allow it to come into the situation. You just acknowledge it, recognize it, and then with the situation, you come from a place of response rather than reaction, which the reaction is where the emotion comes in. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And yeah, I have my moments though. So, oh, there's a bit of a
Don't
delay.
we
Are
all?
you hearing me?
They froze.
Yeah, it froze for a
Yes.
minute. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I hope everybody's hearing us. Renee, Catherine. I I believe they're. I hope they're listening to us.
Hopefully.
Okay. Well, we. I know you wrote the part of in the book. Yes, they're listening to us. Cool. Okay. Catherine says even Jesus got angry. Even in the Enlightenment, you still are human. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Yes,
Yep.
that's a misconception about the healers, that we never get angry, that we never get sad, that we never have any emotions, or we just like blank.
Yes.
And that's not true.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, it's people seem to think that spiritual people are just spiritual and they're all love and light, and there's no emotions, there's no anger, there's no, and I'm not that kind of healer. If people want that kind of healer, they better not come to me, because I'm the one cussing. I'm the one. I'll say it like it is. So
But
don't come to me.
I don't think the healers that are always love and light, they're not being
Yeah,
honest. They're not having a very honest life, because we're still humans. So we go
exactly.
through all the emotions. Why? Because we're still in the process of healing
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
So
I'm very genuine with my healing. I'm very genuine. I say it like it is. I do it as delicately as possible, but give people that ability to move forward in life rather than being stuck, because being stuck really isn't good. And giving people the ability to move forward and you know take the next step, go to the next step in their life. So you
what
know
kind? Can you tell us a little bit what kind of healing you do?
I do Reiki. I do Yusui, Karuna, Violet Flame, and Anubis Reiki. I do my readings. I call them soul evolving readings, because when I sit down with somebody, it's what comes to me. So I could get mediumship, I could get psychic, I could get Akashic records, I could get channeling, of course, which I kind of, mediumship and psychic encompass channeling. And so I do channeling, I do the Akashic records, I do cards as well. And it's whatever comes to me, whatever spirit is drawing me to give them. I only give people the reading they need at that time, the reading that their soul is ready to hear. I don't give them a reading that, is, I give them something where they can move forward and they're not stuck. And I give them I don't really give them a lot of negative stuff, but the negative stuff that does come in is stuff that they need to hear in order for them to move forward. And I do it in a delicate way so that it doesn't hurt, it only heals. So my entire intention of my reading is to help somebody heal and move forward in life. So that's what spirit brings to me. And so if I get medium, I did a reading not too long ago. I never thought I could do mediumship for an hour. I did a reading entire mediumship. I never thought I could do that, but the whole thing was mediumship. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Because I always felt like, oh, I got to mix it with all these others. And, but it just depends. It's whatever that person, whatever spirit is ready to provide them with, their guides, their spirit, whatever. So
I am a Reiki master too, and I used to put them in the table and do all that until
Mhm,
my guides start telling me, "Oh no, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna do this and this and this." And it was totally different. I don't not have to do anything. In fact, had to do with my ancestors, mexicas,
mhm,
and I didn't even knew what I was doing, but I was just following instructions. And
mhm,
that's when I started realizing that I did not have to use Reiki all the time. I did not, in fact, my way of doing Reiki, I don't do it in the traditional way. I even took out the table. I took it out
mhm,
of my office. Why? Because I came to understand that when you say to someone that you are gonna heal them,
mhm.
it's like having a magic wand, charan, and you're never gonna have that problem. But they're gonna go back to their problems.
Yeah.
And if you don't give them instructions how they can manage, they're gonna go
Mhm.
2 hours later, they're gonna feel the same.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny when I give somebody a reading, I give them a lot of homework. Go read this book, go watch this movie. You know, so I'm like giving people homework when I give them readings. You know, when I do Reiki, I explain to them, this is me just facilitating the healing. Your body's going to do the healing over time, but you need to recognize that the healing energies of Reiki is extremely subtle. You can't pinpoint and say, oh yeah, that worked, magic like that. It doesn't. No, sometimes you have to go for more than one session. You can't do it in one session, especially if it's something that's been chronic for a long time. It's not, it didn't come overnight. It's not going to heal overnight. It's going to take a minute. But, I've been on the healing journey for myself for quite a while. My mother used to be, she used to enjoy being sick because it got her attention. And I always tried to help her and heal her, but people have to want to be healed. People can't, they come skeptical on Reiki and they think, oh, it didn't work. Well, did you give it time? Did you sit with it for a minute? Did you believe in it? Don't need to believe in it for it to work, but you need to want to heal. And if you don't want to heal, you're not going to heal. It's just what it is. And some people enjoy being sick. It's sad, but it's true.
I totally agree with you. I heal myself from from lupus, RAM fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was not to Reiki, it was to personal work because it was everybody will attract whatever they feel they deserve or need or want,
Yeah.
and we will attract the worst sickness that they can.
Mhm.
Lupus is a killer.
Yes. My
and
cousin, my cousin has it. Yep, it is.
and basically it's a bottom of auto destruction in the case of lupus.
Mhm.
So you just have to change the bottom for you want to actually live, and
Yeah.
how much you want to live, that
Yeah.
depends on the person, not on the healer trying to give in the healing. It's about the personal work that they can do to themselves. That's how I heal myself.
Absolutely. Because for me, it's like I immediately go to this book by Louise Hay.
Mhm.
Um, oh, thank you. You got it. Yes. I immediately, as soon as I get an ailment, I go to that book and I look up what emotion am I not dealing with? What is going on that I'm not dealing with? And how can I correct this? And I do that every time. It's like, oh, my right leg is hurting. Okay, go to the book. Why is my leg? And so it's healing is a multifaceted process. You need your doctor, and doctors are great in certain circumstances, but you need your acupuncturist. I am like big acupuncture person. Like everybody that asks, I'm like, go to acupuncture, because it's like, oh my God, it's the best thing I ever discovered. Reiki, definitely Reiki. So you need these different facets of healers to help you to get better. I mean, I'm not completely perfect. I'm overweight. I need to lose some weight. got to work on that. There's certain things that you got to work on. Everybody has to work on, because we're human, and we're we need to just recognize that you can't just turn to one person and expect them to have the magic wand to do it instantly, or that pill. Everybody goes to the pills, thinks the pills are going to cure them. And sometimes it makes it worse. My husband has a situation where he's got consistent diarrhea, like it's been going on for a year or longer now. And they give him a pill that causes more diarrhea. And so he's got pills to compensate for pills that cause, the very thing that he's trying to cure. So he even looked at me, and I said, well, what can I say? That's the way it works. Until you start to look at alternatives, that's the way it's going to work. So,
You mentioned that I have never heard this, Anubis, a
yes.
healing. What is that about?
It's a Reiki. I learned it from the person who created it, Valerie. I can't remember her last name. She's in the UK, actually. And so she taught me Anubis Reiki, and it encompasses Egyptian influenced Reiki symbols, so forth. So it's really quite neat. I love it. I only got level 1 and level 2. I got to get level 3. So yeah, it's awesome.
I have not heard about that Reiki in particular. That's why.
Yeah, if you look her up if you just put in Anubis Reiki, she'll pop up. And I can't remember her website, but yeah, it pops up.
I have a question. You mentioned in your biography that when I was reading that you were a healer, photographer, and you also study cultural anthropology.
Yes.
How do you combine the three of them?
It's it's interesting. When I was in university, I saw a connection between every form of study. There was something that connected to the other. And I've been able to see this connection between all of it. I'll give you an example. My friend, it's a funny one. My friend, she studied psychology at University of Alberta. And then she went on to do the photography because she kind of was interested, because I was doing photography. She went to try and do photography. And then she started getting into biology, and she wanted to get into marine biology. And then that led to toxicology. And she started taking classes in toxicology. So she's a toxicologist now. But I used to joke with her and say, okay, so you're going to take photographs of the fish and psychoanalyze them and categorize them, and then see how many toxins they got in them. I said, you can combine it all. She's, so it's kind of the same thing. Like with the photography, it's like, I literally, if I really put my mind to it, and I haven't yet, but I will at some point, hopefully, do travel photography and incorporate the cultural anthropology into that. And really just look, when you go into cultural anthropology, you sometimes look at the spiritual side of a society and the healing side of society. So I literally could totally intertwine all of that into like a master's degree, maybe, or a PhD,
It is very interesting to actually look into the healing part of all the cultures on the world, because actually they're the same with different names and different, but
exactly.
But the bases are the same.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And even the spiritual side of other cultures is very similar. And so it would be interesting to do a study on that. And I'm sure there's already people who have done studies on that. I just haven't looked it up, but I'm sure there's somebody they maybe not included the photography part, but so anyway.
You're in a wonderful place. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because it's like the photography gives me that creative side. The and the spiritual side is the spiritual side. And then the cultural anthropology gives me that analytical side, and so it's kind of like there's also that intertwining of things as well. So, it's great. I love it.
So do you integrate, well, obviously Reiki it comes from the Orient mainly, but do you combine it with other cultures or other spiritual ways from other cultures because you study cultural anthropology. So I
Yes.
may imagine, like, I don't know, and my passion is archaeology. And I grew up in Veracruz, Mexico. So I was surrounded by three zones of archaeology zones with the Papantecos. And that's why I grew up with them. So it was, for me, I got passionate by that. Did you use the Native Americans or Native Latino cultures, the native ones, like shamanism and things like that?
Yes, I have trained in shamanism with Barbara. She trained with many horses. And so I trained in shamanism. I was thinking of doing some more training in that. And yeah, I definitely felt a connection to the Aboriginal Native American culture when I was studying anthropology. Of course, studying anthropology in Canada, you tend to get that influence a lot more often, is the Native culture influence into your study of anthropology more often than not. So yeah, I did take classes. I think there was a prerequisite even for you to have like a class in Aboriginal studies, at least a couple of credits in Aboriginal studies. So there definitely was that influence. And, with the Reiki, I find the Reiki is very, very subtle, very healing. And now that you ask that, I'm feeling like there's some symbols that have not been grabbed onto from Native culture that could be technically incorporated into a new Reiki, actually. I'm kind of getting that right now. But yeah, definitely with that Asian influence it's all very similar. I find it's, the Bering Strait, it was there at one time, and people came over from Asia into North America. So, there's definitely that influence. So, yeah.
Catherine is saying, Bate Griffiths wrote a great book. It is meets West, how each religion is connected.
There you go. I'm going to have to look that up. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, you're right. It's way softer, the healing of Reiki. That my background is also in shamanic because of like I mentioned, I was very. My sister is a shaman, and we grew up with the Papantecos in Veracruz and so forth. So you learn. It was not optional because that was part of it.
Yeah.
And on that, and yes, it's more harder. It's less sweet. Let's put it like that. The shamanism.
It's
sweet.
Absolutely. Being from Texas, there are definitely dark spirits, and I encountered that being here. They're in Canada too, don't get me wrong, but there are dark spirits in the world that, a lot of people like who are doing spiritual work are like all love and light, love and light, love and light. And they don't even want to touch the dark side of the spiritual realm. And I got, because of my encounters as a child with the dark spirits, I kind of, I've gotten to a place where I'm not afraid of them. So when I come into a home where there's dark spirits, they immediately start attacking me, like literally start attacking me. So I have to put up shields. I have to put up protection. I have to protect myself. I have to smudge. it's a process. And, I've been into a couple homes here in the last little while and I tend to stir that stuff up because they know I'm not afraid of them and they know that I can get rid of them. And so they tend to like show themselves to me. And
you're talking about low densities, right?
Yes, low densities. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't like me because I can get rid of them.
Hey, we all were created by the same source.
Exactly. I know, right? But I can also, So anyway, so I find that they come out with me when I come into a place. And so I have to really just protect myself and protect others that are in that space as well. But the shaman work is not all love and light. And I guess that's the point I was trying to make. It's not the, you're dealing with energy that is negative at times and lower density and so forth. And you have to deal with that sometimes when you don't really want to. So, but it is what it is.
It's like your ego. You can't say to ego, get away, go back, go away and disappear. No, because it's also part of everything is part of us. We need
Absolutely.
Why love and light is, we also have our dark side that we need to stop fearing them so much. So like that, we can blend with that part because it's part of us.
Absolutely. And I mean, there is a reason why there's yin and yang in Japan. You need the negative with the positive. Even with negative events that happen, you'll find positive things that come out of them. I mean, the pandemic is a perfect example of some positive stuff that's come out of that and some negative stuff. And it's sad, but both have, and so I've tried to concentrate on the positive that's come out of it because, there's a lot of negative too. So, I've tried to concentrate on the positive, but you can't be afraid of that side, that shadow side, or what other people, some people call it shadow side. Other people, I just say it like it is. It's negative. But, you just gotta, you gotta embrace it and recognize it and change it.
The love is the best magic that it can.
It is. Love is the only way.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. In fact, I'm working on a book about love. So yeah, it is. It's the only way to combat any of it, actually.
Yes.
Any of it. It is. And I mean, when I'm dealing with lower density spirits and all that stuff, I help them. I had one in my house that was bothering my cat, scaring my cat like crazy. And because I find that sometimes it's too close to me, it's harder for me to I recognize, I know it's there. It's harder for me to deal with when I'm personally around it, when it's personally affecting me. But I did a whole session and found out the guy was Aboriginal. He was captured and chained to another man, and they had escaped on a horse. And I can't remember, I think it was the 1700s, 1800s, somewhere around in there. And the house that I live in Canada is pretty much at the bottom of what used to be a pond kind of thing. So luckily we don't flood, knock on wood, but we're like the bottom of that slough or, pond or whatever that was there on that farmland. And they had escaped and they had caught him, and the other guy got shot. And because they were both on the horse, the one fell off, the other one fell, hit his head on a rock, and ended up drowning in that lake. And so he was with the land, not with the house, but with the land. And so I was able to send him to the other side, where his sister came, greeted him, unshackled the chains on his arms, and sent him to I'm getting chills now, send him to the other side. He's coming back saying thank you. But anyway, I was able to send him to the other side. Now the house is all clear. My cat isn't running scared all the time. But, he was doing that to try and get my attention. And some of these lower energies are only trying to get your attention, and they're not something to be scared of. They're just trying to say, hey, I'm here. Look at me. But there are those other ones that are not good. And those are the ones that I really have to be dealt with. So yeah.
I have a question. The majority of I believe we have many awakenings, all the human beings. It's not only just one and you just wake up and wow, we go into a process, and then you later on, years later, you have another awakening.
Absolutely.
And how was your last awakening?
Are you picking up on something? You might be.
I wrote it down.
Well, I went on my spiritual journey in my 20s, and my husband's atheist. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but he's atheist.
I had one of those, my ex.
See, there you go. And because of that, I didn't really, I would read Wayne Dyer like crazy. I would read Deepak Chopra like crazy. I'd read all those, watch those videos, whatever. And then something along the way, life kind of got in the way, and I kind of abandoned that journey I was on. And my husband being atheist kind of helped me a little bit in that as well, not to really look at it anymore. And then in 2010 things started happening. In 2010 there were 5 deaths. 2011 there were 6 surgeries. 2012 there was another 5 deaths, and these were friends, family, other people's family that I knew, just friends and family that were passing away. And then 2013, there was 3 deaths. And then something else happened that, I'm not going to mention, but I am writing a book about. But it just, that one extra thing just sent me over the edge and went, I got to start thinking of the world differently. I really have to start viewing it differently. I have to start doing it for myself, for my kids, for my life, because with each year it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse, and it was just not getting any better. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't view this as devastation anymore. I got to start viewing this differently. And all the way along the way I was getting spirit coming in, feathers and people, I was hearing voices, that kind of thing. And I just would dismiss it. And finally in 2014, I said, enough's enough. I'm going on that spiritual side that I always knew I had the abilities. I just never tapped into them. So first classes I took was on mediumship. And, I just, I took classes in mediumship, and from there on, it's just been, and every year I just try to take a different class and something new. And just, I'm constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly just, I would say I'm a course junkie. I'll spend my money on courses over anything else, courses and crystals, but that's where I spend most of my money.
I hear you. I have the same issue. That's the other day when my kids tell me, Mom, you have an addiction of taking classes. Yeah. Yeah.
I do too. You and I share. Yep. I have the same addiction. It's like, I'll see this class and I'll be like, oh, I need to take that. So yeah. So yeah, that was a big awakening for me, because I finally embraced who I really am. And so, but now I'm having a newer awakening happening, and I don't know the results of it yet, but after I go through what I'm going through, having to try and get my house back from a family member, and I'm once I go through that process, I'll have another awakening. Not sure what it is right now because I'm in the midst of it, but I'm sure there's going to be something.
Yes, every time we go to after the dark night of the soul, we go to the next stage.
Mhm.
That's why it's very, very hard, but we go to the next stage.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I really am handling this quite well. I mean, there's moments, I do have my moments. Don't get me wrong. I have my moments. I said to my cousin the other day, I said, when I get into that house by myself, I'm going to have a good cry. Like, just going to sit down and have a good cry. But right now it's just, it's the process, and it's slow moving because it's justice system, taking its sweet time. So anyway, so
Catherine says, with all the energy work you do, what practices do you do to maintain the health of your aura? What are you aware of the impact of your work and your auric shield? How do you train others? Do you have an ethic practice? I was a,
I haven't started the training process. I just taught one of my cousins Reiki the other day. So, but I haven't really started the training process for others yet, but it's in the development. I am planning on developing that. For myself, I mean, I've been meditating, like leading up to this situation that I'm in. I've been prepping for this for about a year. My mother died in March of 2020, and with the pandemic and being in Canada and not being able to get down here, I took that time to really, really hone my skills and practices to really prep myself for this moment, because I knew this moment was going to be huge, and I knew that it was going to be very taxing on my energy and my aura and all the other stuff. So I've done a lot of meditation, a lot of self Reiki. I've done acupuncture, which is amazing. I've done balancing my chakras, just going to my quiet place for a moment, just trying to center myself and really getting to a place of mindfulness and just recognizing my thought processes and recognizing that some are conducive, some are not, and really just keeping myself in check through this process, not allowing emotions to get in the way of dealing with the situation, holding those emotions for later to deal with in private rather than, and so I've just really been doing that quite a bit. And, I've been practicing putting up shields and protection around myself, and protecting my energy and all that. So I've just been, it's been a process.
in my experience, when you have something attached to you, you can feel it right away.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it, that energy or their talk or whatever conversation they're trying to say is like, and then you can feel it.
You can.
You're become aware of that. It's easy to remove
Yes. Yeah.
because you're aware that is not me. That is not my higher self. That
Mm-hmm.
is not for my highest good.
No, exactly. Exactly. Thankfully, I've been able to prevent anything from attaching, although I have had 2 or 3 occasions where they wanted to, and they knew they couldn't. But when your energy is low, or when you're in a situation, a difficult situation, that's when they'll come in and pounce. And so it's been a matter of protecting myself, because I did have to remove an energy from my cousin, through Reiki and shaman energy clearing and so forth. And I was quite successful, but I had to call in extra help just to finalize it, because I felt like I got him to that place, and then he just needed a little extra help to get, to the next stage, which now he feels fantastic. You can just see the energy from him, how much I even said, "You look lighter." He said, "I feel lighter." So, he knew he had that attachment, and he wanted to learn Reiki to protect himself from that type of stuff. So yeah, so there you go.
How do you work with clients?
Depends on what they want. If they want Reiki, I usually do it on a bed, kind of like you would with acupuncture or whatever. And what we've been taught in Reiki with bed, the massage table, and just doing the healing there. I also do distance healing, and that I'll do that. And then with my readings, I go into the Akashic records and I really pick up on any energies of past lives that they're bringing forward into this life and clear that for their highest good. Because there's some stuff that you find in the Akashic records that shouldn't be cleared. That person needs to learn that lesson, or they need to know that stuff. So I only clear the things that spirit or their guides allow to be cleared. So I make a specific effort not to clear anything that's not meant to be cleared. And then, I'll do a card reading and psychic or mediumship if that comes in. And so my sessions are an hour and a half long for the first Reiki session, because I'm really getting the history on the person and that type of thing. But yeah, my readings are about an hour. I usually find I go over, though. I usually go about an hour and a half. So I just they get a little extra out of me. But yeah, so that's, and I do it over Zoom. The readings and the Reiki I like to do in person, at least the first session, but sometimes their distance prevents it, so I do distance Reiki on somebody. So I sometimes first session, second session. And when I'm doing Reiki, it's funny because I pick up on what's going on in their body. Like I can pick up on their ailments and pick up on things and really figure out, oh, okay, this is happening because of this, or did you have an injury back when you were a kid? I pick up on things. So I really love doing Reiki, and I've actually incorporated sound healing into my Reiki now as well. So I'm doing sound healing, and I'll incorporate crystals if I get the urge to do so. So yeah, so that's how I work with them.
Do you have any classes right now going on?
No, I don't, but I hope to soon. I hope to soon. I'm trying to get through this, situation I'm in before I do anything like that. So, but yeah. Do you have any classes? Because I would take a class with you as well.
Gosh, I have so many right now. I have one for channeling, actually. And that is coming up. First, I'm going to start it in Spanish, but I have it already programmed for English.
Yeah.
Then I have also the artist boot camp. Also, that's another one, because sometimes we just need to know about how to take a rejection from a gallery, because they can be very cruel. And if you don't know how to take rejections, that can destroy all your career or you believing in yourself. So that's part of my artist boot camp that I'm going to be having. I'm going to be having also a retreat very soon. That is going to be in July. That is for transforming your life and becoming responsible and believing in yourself and so forth.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would be interested in some of that. That sounds great. Yeah, the rejection thing you were just talking about, when I was starting doing photography in my 20s, I had one or two rejections, and it devastated me. It put my photography on hold for probably 5 or 6 years before I picked it up again and started doing it again. So it really, being able to handle the rejection and recognizing that, it's people, their opinions, and sometimes their opinions differ with other people's opinions, and you'll find that some people love your stuff and others won't. It is what it is, right?
And it's harder when you're dealing with galleries. The galleries, they don't care. They don't care if they break your heart. They don't care. It's something that they don't think they can sell. So that's why I felt like, okay, I've been doing this for 40 years. I had two galleries.
Mhm.
That's why it's like, no, you know what? I should be teaching, or I should add that to my teaching classes, because
Yes,
many people need that too.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and my photography, I mean, you were asking how I help clients. My photography, I do my photography. Usually I like to do family photography, and I want to I was doing wedding photography, but I stopped. Um, but the family photography, I only take one photo of the people posing, and all the other photos, I want candid photos of people interacting and doing what they love to do as a family. So, family, whatever it is, like play on a playground and capture them playing and laughing and having fun. Like that's the kind of photos I'd like to do. So, not the posed.
I agree with that. It's the pose. We all
Everybody
do,
has the
but,
posed. You can
but
go to
it's,
Walmart for the posed.
yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any event coming up? I heard that you were writing one or two books.
I'm actually working on 3 books, and I'm doing it. I'm finding that what I'm doing here is almost like a full-time job dealing with getting my house back. But I am, in between times able to get started on writing on some of my books and so forth. So I have one that I completed right before coming, but the one about love that I told you about. But I was going to incorporate photography into it, photos that I had taken. And so I sadly didn't get a chance to work on that. So when I get back to Canada, that'll be the first thing I start tackling. So I'll hopefully have that book come out first. And then the other book I'm working on is about energy and how energy works, really understanding energy. Because I think we all talk about it. We all communicate about it. We all, express it, Reiki's energy healing, all this stuff, but nobody really understands it fully. So I'm trying to go in and figure it out, not just for myself, but for others, so that people can go, oh, that makes sense now. So I'm trying to explain it for myself so that I can explain it to others. So I'm finding it's taking me on many different paths, but really I'm going into the emotions and looking at emotions right now. So yeah, so I'm working on that book. And then the other book, I've got several chapters written in it, almost completed, but I'm going back and revamping that one. So that one's going to be further down. It might be in a couple years, but
Believe
yeah.
me, I know what you're saying. I have also three books that I haven't finished, and it's like, oh, I need to focus in one. But sometimes there are great ideas for the other one, so I start writing
No.
ideas for the other one. Like, let me finish this one. Like, gosh, but
And
I
and then finding all your notes, because I have my recorder on my phone. I have a little tape recorder as well. And then I have notes written down on different pads and all this stuff. So it's like combining it all. So
yes, but let's promise that we're going to finish at least one this year.
yes, yes. See, there you go. Perfect. There you go. Yeah.
Do you have something else you would like to add, or before we close down?
No, no, I can't think of anything. I'm just happy to be here. I enjoyed my time on here and it was great. So yeah, I can't think of anything other than, all my stuff that's coming out, all the things that I'm working on. I feel like they're going to be coming out after I go through this transition stage I'm in. Because really it's a transition, it's a learning curve for me right now. So I feel like, I've got all these ideas, all these great ideas, but it's just not being able to implement them just yet. And I want to be able to be there for the clients, and I don't want to be pulled multiple different ways. So, other than I can do a reading for somebody. So if anybody's interested in a reading, that's easy to do for me. And if anybody's in Texas that wants some Reiki, I'm more than open to give some Reiki as well. But yeah, but all the rest of the stuff is kind of on hold right now. So yeah. So there you go.
Well, the next week, like we mentioned, we're going to have Rosalind Fong. She is an intuitive mindset and visionary business coach. And she's amazing. She's one of my mentors in the business. And she's also right now doing Akashic record readings and soul coach. And also we're going to be starting with a new project that is going to call Artist Talk. I'm going to be interviewing artists on Sundays. We start with the first one in the 27th on that Sunday at 6 o'clock, and it's with Ruby Avila. That she's one of my. We used to work together organizing art events and so forth, and she's an amazing artist too.
That's
But it's
great.
going to be on the 27th. And well, and thank you for being here, guys. Thank you so much, Janine.
Yeah,
It
thank you.
was really my pleasure to finally we talk.
Yes,
And I
sure.
hope we were closer. I'm really in the south, and you're really in the end of Texas, and Texas is big.
I know. I had a friend going from Dallas to Florida, and they said 16 hours. I'm like, well, it's 16 hours within Texas alone.
Yes, we're in the two borders.
I know, right? And I wish I had more time because I definitely would drive down there. But yeah, I just don't have time right now. But yeah, we're definitely going to meet soon. I can't wait. So who knows? If I find I'm in your neck of the woods, I'll give you a shout.
Thank you so much for accepting my
Thank
invitation.
you.
And
Thank you.
thank you everybody for listening. And you're seeing the replay, just click replay. I will appreciate that very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you. Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.